Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Plaidcast, where we bring some of Washington's finest, most unique power players back to you in northern Wisconsin. This week we have Bill Huizenga from Michigan 2nd, I believe.
Yep.
A great district along the shores of Lake Michigan.
I'm actually holding up my hand right now, pointing to the side of my hand, showing you where my district is.
Which is on the opposite side of your thumb, is that right?
It is. It is. It's on the Wisconsin side of Michigan.
So that was a question I had for you. So we'll go there first before we actually talk about who you are and what you do. But so if you look at Michigan and you just held up your hand, right, and you're directly opposite the thumb.
Yep. So if for those of you in Radio Land, holding up my right hand, thumb towards me, far side away, that gives you the northeast, southwest kind of perspective.
So here's my question, though. Yeah. What do you do with the UP of Michigan? The
Because
that's not on the hand.
It gets tricky. You have to flip it around. And so then you have your palm facing you on your left hand. And then you take it, it's almost like a kind of a gun formation with your right hand, and you stick that up and over. Now, the only problem was when I first got here, I would hold up my left hand like that, and I would point to the side of my hand, and everybody was wondering why I was pointing at my wedding ring when I was describing where I was from. And so finally, I flipped it around. It's just, as you well know, Sean, raising your right hand in Washington, D.C. these days may have other connotations.
That's right.
So I was trying to not go there.
But it leads me to the real point here, which is it seems awfully complicated, and especially as we're doing this Plaidcast as a throwback to my lumberjack days, to bring in the UP of Michigan.
I know where you're going with this.
Do you think the UP of Michigan should actually be part of Wisconsin or Michigan?
I knew you were going to go there. Well, first of all, I wanted to tell you.
It wouldn't be complicated for us to take
Wisconsin
the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
tried to pull this whole mitten thing away from Michigan.
Right, because it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Because actually for Wisconsin, the hand works.
Yeah, Door County, that's not really a thumb. So
that was below the belt.
The thumb firmly belongs, that is the imprint of God onto the earth, right where Michigan is, right there.
And it feels like the UP of Michigan is a little more connected to Wisconsin, but we can leave that debate alone for a moment. And let's go to Bill Huizenga. Listen, you came here in 2010, same year I was elected. Tell me about Bill Huizenga, your district, your family. Give us the background on who Mr. Huizenga is.
Yeah, I was born and raised in West Michigan, is how we commonly refer to it, and that's just west of Grand Rapids. So folks may have come over and come to Holland for the Tulip Time Festival that's there.
I've been there.
You have been there. Muskegon.
Been there too.
Ludington.
Not there.
Not there? Okay.
Oh, you're waiting for me to say.
Yeah, I was waiting.
Yeah, no, not Ludington.
So, well, you may know that there's
or not that I recall.
A lot of connectivity, though, between western Michigan and Wisconsin. We have two ferries, the only two ferries that remain on the Great Lakes right now. The Badger, the SS Badger, which goes from Ludington to Manitowoc. That is a coal-fired steamship. That it's the last one that is on the Great Lakes, last one that exists.
Is the EPA trying to shut that one down?
They have for about the last 2 decades at various levels, and we have finally reached accommodation.
Because it's clean coal they use, right?
It is. But the technology that they have put in place it captures all the coal ash, and they're able to dispose of it in Wisconsin. And it is.
How long does it take?
That is about a 3.5, 4 hour. So if you drove it, I mean, it'd be
a long ways.
10 hours.
Over the top or down the bottom.
It's kind of nice though, because your cell phone doesn't work out in the middle of the lake. They've got it figured out. They've kind of turned it into entertainment.
It's like you have to talk to people on the boat or something.
Or your family. It's amazing.
Your family, right.
And then the other ferry, there's a high-speed ferry. It's a catamaran so the Badger can carry like dozens and dozens of cars. The catamaran that comes from Muskegon to Milwaukee, that one can only carry about 10 or 12 vehicles. It's smaller, but it goes much faster, so it's a high-speed ferry.
So everyone who is listening that want to take that trip across Lake Michigan on one of the two ferries, Bill Huizenga has just given you all the background you need, whether you want to go old coal-fired, old-school ferry, or catamaran. high speed and high tech.
Yeah, I'm here from pretty much the Pure Michigan campaign.
Right, I can tell.
Yes.
So, your district, what industry? What do people do? How do people make money? What do they make a living? Why do they live there?
Yeah. Why do they live there? We get sunsets and nice sandy beaches.
Listen, I got to give you that. You have some of the nicest beaches and the best sunsets. They're pretty good.
We do. They are great. And obviously, as you well know too, with Wisconsin, the seasons are great. I like fall. I'm a hunter. This is my kind of season. Football and hunting all in one. And if I can squeeze in a little golf here and there, life is very good. But why people stay in West Michigan? There's three main industries in the whole state, and all of those are found in my district. One is manufacturing. We have the three largest.
Do you make cars there?
Well, no, but we make car parts.
Oh, car parts, okay.
Yeah, so all the Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 automotive suppliers, so interiors.
That means nothing to me. So car part suppliers,
let me tell you, the Tier 1 is a direct that goes into the original equipment manufacturers. They call them OEMs, all right? So that's a company like Gentex that makes the self-dimming mirrors, is made in my hometown of Zeeland.
Are they also the mirrors that put up the reverse camera like in a Suburban?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes,
great,
exactly.
Cool.
Yep. So we have the two largest. They supply.
Because I don't need those, but my wife and daughter who drive, they actually need those cameras because it's a scary thing. When your wife and your daughter crash your car and your rates go up, it's not fun. But anyway, so thank you for that.
Anytime.
Very helpful.
Yes. So it's like 70% of all of the mirrors that are made in the worldwide are made in with two companies in Western Michigan, Gentex and Magna Donnelly, and we. Car interiors, they do seats, they do plastic injection molding for the various parts around the car. They do manufacturing, piston heads and door handles and kind of you name it, it gets made in our district. The other, we do a little bit, kind of tied with that, we do a little bit of defense, military, and aerospace as well. And again, in my hometown of Zeeland, we've got the afterburner for the F-35 is made there at a place called Woodward. So it's pretty cool.
So high tech, and these are good paying jobs.
Yeah, very good paying jobs. And then the third element of manufacturing is office furniture. So the three largest office furniture makers in the world, Herman Miller, Hayworth, and Steelcase, are all in the second district. So if you've got a cool Aeron chair or petitions that you have.
So with all of this movement of taking manufacturing and especially furniture overseas, your district has survived that transition and actually thrived and continues to compete? They have.
And here's one of the reasons why, especially with office furniture, it's really expensive to ship air. Right, and oftentimes when you're shipping a filing cabinet, you're shipping air, so you can't really do that. So they have expanded.
Oh, I thought you were saying like air freight as opposed to.
So yes.
Okay, so but you're shipping
air.
Yes,
exactly.
I'm slow.
Yeah, that's all right. But they've all gone and have most of their manufacturing is actually in Europe, where they go and they supply the European market. They have manufacturers in Japan, Korea, China for the Asian market.
But still a great base.
But you kind of have to be in the region. Yeah, so they're all multi-billion-dollar companies, all based, one privately held and two publicly traded, Herman Miller and Steelcase. So
cool.
Yeah, and then our other industry.
So we're looking for jobs. We go to West Michigan.
My home county of Ottawa County has 2.5% unemployment right now.
That's great.
I mean, they're really struggling actually to find
work.
Folks who can come in, show up, pass a drug test, and come back on a regular basis. So.
All right. So quickly, dad of 5, right? Oldest is how old?
Oldest is 19, almost 20, sophomore in college. Then I've got a freshman in college. He's 18 and a half. Then I've got a junior in high school, a freshman in high school, and a 6th grader. So
I practiced a lot at saying the last name Huizenga, but how do people slaughter your last name? What do you hear? What do people say for Bill, the Huizenga?
Yeah. So for those of you out there, it's Huiz. All right, just let's stop right there. Right there is the problem. The U throws everybody off because I can tell they have no clue how my name is pronounced when they start with a Hui, and it's like, okay, stop right there.
I'll help you out, right?
Yes. So Huizenga, Huizenga. I get I don't. It's people from the upper Northeast add an R onto the end.
Huizenga, where's that name from?
It's actually Dutch.
Dutch.
Yep.
Do you have a lot of Dutch in your district?
Yes, we do. So Holland,
Dutch roots?
Michigan, Zeeland, Michigan.
Yeah.
All these. Yes. So lots of Dutch roots. My family came in 1847 from the Netherlands, and they settled into West Michigan, and it's kind of the Dutch enclave, Grand Rapids.
Is your wife Dutch?
My wife is Dutch. Now, her pedigree is much more recent, though. Her mom and dad immigrated from the Netherlands after World War II to Toronto and then that area, and then we met at Calvin College in Grand Rapids. So.
And so when you met her and started to date her, did you go Dutch?
Yes, of course.
Good.
Yeah.
You wait to a Dutch woman's heart is make her pay. I won't bring that up to Natalie. No.
No.
Yeah, we'll leave that one alone. Okay, so we're on financial services together. You chair the very important Capital Markets Committee, but you also used to chair the Monetary Policy and Trade Subcommittee, and there's a lot of conversation now in regard to who's going to chair the Fed. And there's conversations about Mr. Powell. Yep. Thoughts on who should chair the Fed? What kind of reform do we need at the Fed? How do we make the Fed work better? Thoughts with your great and deep experience on Fed issues.
And how long is your podcast, Plaidcast?
You're going to have to make it about 2 minutes, so hurry it up.
Let's go.
Condense it.
So here's the problem. We don't have true market forces. And whether you agree or disagree about the Fed's interference into interest rates through monetary policy, through the quantitative easing program, which was literally when the U.S. government was offering to sell bonds, nobody was buying them. So Treasury bought them, and or the Fed bought them from Treasury, and they pretended like that was a free market exchange. Well, it really wasn't. And Japan has now done that. Europe has now done this. We've artificially driven down interest rates. And again, we can argue both ways as to whether it was a good thing, bad thing. What most people are saying is, hey, we've been at this now for 8 years, 9 years. It's time that we allow market forces back into it. The Fed just announced that they are going to maintain interest rates as they are, looking at potentially a slight increase again in December. There are some folks who get a little freaked out by that. So my background is real estate. When I graduated with my oh-so-employable political science degree, I went into real estate full-time. My family's in construction and developing. And I remember
with Marv or Irv?
Irv, yes, Irv works.
We hear about Irv in the committee often, who worked for the family for 60 years or something.
Irv started working for my grandfather when he was in 8th grade, and Irv's 74 now and still works 3 days a week. So I
got to meet Irv. We need to put pictures up in the committee at some point of Irv. And in the gravel pit
with the front end loader. Yeah. Well, one of my real estate mentors came to me one day, and this was 20 plus years ago now, and he said, "Look, Bill, I know you and Natalie are just starting out, but you have to buy a house. Interest rates are never going to be this low again," and it had just gone to 9.95%. On 30 years.
You're older than them, because when they hit 7 for us, we're like, oh my God, 7%.
I know.
In.
Yeah, there's no way it can ever be this low again. And it's now like at 3.6, 3.5, So we've got to allow market forces to come back in for the overall health of the economy, really.
But if you look at that, isn't it fair, and we've had these debates in our committee, but we have those who believe the answer to economic growth has been the Fed and their low interest rate policy.
And government interference.
Yeah, but we've seen with President Trump, and which we had argued often, is it's what is government doing that's hindering growth, and the massive rules and regulations and the increase in taxes that have made people shy to reinvest in capital or in people. And you see with the election of President Trump, where he at least says it's not going to get any worse. We're not going to come at you with a whole other wave of regulation. This is as bad as it's going to get, and frankly, I'm going to work to make it better for you. And also, I'm going to work on reforming your tax code. With that, you've seen all this pent-up demand explode. which means we were in the conversations we were having with Chair Yellen and others, we were actually right on this point, weren't we? That it's actually streamlining all the red tape. I don't know if that's the right word, streamline it, but get it out of the way, cut it, lower taxes, and get the Fed out of the way as well, and let people do what they do best, which is invest and run their businesses.
Yeah. Predictability is a big thing that I hear often, right? Because you had the federal government changing the rules all the time. And it was mostly because of political pressure. And so you had business owners, large, medium, and small business owners, all kind of sitting on the sidelines saying, you know what, we're not sure what's going to happen with our health care. We're not sure what's going to happen with the regulatory environment. We're not sure what's going to happen with our taxes. Guess what? I'm just going to sit back because I don't want to get burned again like I did in 2009 and 2010. And so we're going to have to, we have, I believe, successfully rolled back a number of those regulations. We've got to deal with tax reform to lend some predictability and lower that overall corporate tax rate, and maybe more importantly, that pass-through rate for small businesses.
At the start of the Obama administration, I would hear people say, "Oh my God, you got to stop them and all the regulation they're throwing at us." Years into it, they would say, oh, "Fine, you can overregulate me, but just let me know what the overregulation is going to be. Yeah. Let me know what the playing field is going to be so I can stop worrying about government and start worrying about my own business." So
quit changing the rules.
Right, which goes to your point. So quickly, does Yellen have to go?
Well, I think that there are better options.
He's so diplomatic. There's better options. Okay, I would agree with you on that. So. And quickly, we want to move along a little bit, but tell me quickly your priorities. What do you want to get done in Congress? If you're able to tick off a couple of things, what drives Bill Huizenga away from his 5 kids and his awesome wife to come here into the swamp and try to make it a better place? What if you go? If I'm able to get these couple of small things done, what are they?
Yeah. So, a couple of them aren't small, and maybe you agree with this. I kind of break it into a couple of categories. One, that are a little more district focused, a little more Michigan focused, and frankly, Great Lakes focused. I've done a lot of work on invasive species. Asian carp coming into the Great Lakes ecosystem is a very, very bad thing, and we have worked with Army Corps of Engineers and have tried to make sure that they are not coming in from the Mississippi River and through the sanitary canal near Chicago and through Indiana. So that and other issues surrounding the Great Lakes have been a big issue for me, trying to make sure that manufacturing is supported. That's a big, broad element, but as we were describing earlier, my district, we are very much a manufacturing area. We are also an ag area. So I want to make sure that, again, those predictability of the rules and the regulations that both manufacturers and ag folks have to deal with, that is stabilized. So that's kind of more of the district element. The committee work. I'm now chairing the Capital Markets Securities and Investment Subcommittee, and dealing with the markets that we have. And people kind of go, okay, I start glazing over, and you're going to just talk about Wall Street or the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. Well, there's actually 22 exchanges, and the world has changed dramatically. It used to cost, in real dollars, like $100 to go do a stock trade. This would be back in the 70s. You can now do a stock trade for $9.95.
I was paying that in the 90s. So
yeah, and those prices have just been absolutely forced down because of competition and because of the speed that those things have gone.
Technology and innovation.
Exactly right. And we've got very liquid markets. They're very deep markets. But how I describe it is we've been sort of like.
Well, what do we have to do? So they work so well. And what do you work on in capital markets that could improve this?
Yeah. Well, the problem is we've been Gulliver among the Lilliputians, right? It hasn't been that we've been so great. It's just been everybody else has just
been so
stunk.
Awesome?
I'll say that word.
Okay.
Yeah. has stunk in comparison. And what we need to do is make sure that we modernize our rules, make sure that we have people who want to invest, that they come here to the United States and they invest in our markets. And by investing in our markets, that means you're investing in our companies.
But is that your job or is that the SEC's job?
Well, the Securities and Exchange Commission oversees how that is done. That's part of our job, though, in the House Financial Services Committee as well, is to work with the Securities and Exchange Commission on those rules and to help force that modernization. You may have noticed, Sean, bureaucracies and bureaucrats don't really want to innovate unless they are pushed to do so. Right?
I don't know if you can tell right now, but my eyes have just glossed over through this whole explanation. I'm kidding.
No.
It was great. So let's do this.
Can I wrap up one last thing? Okay. Here's why this is so important, is because Joe and Jane IRA and Mr. and Mrs. 401k, that's us, right? That's all of us. That's all your listeners. It's anybody who is saving for retirement. They are saving for college education or saving for anything else. They are affected by these markets and by the regulations that are there, and that's the sort of the watchdog element that we on financial services can lend.
And I think that's a really good point, because a lot of people look at our committee and we deal with housing and insurance and capital markets and banking and the Fed. We have a whole swath of the economy, and I would argue that this is the most important committee that touches the most lives.
Yeah.
When things go well, people's lives go well, and when things go wrong, like you get taxes wrong, you might not know that for 5 months or a couple of years. Yeah. You get your capital markets or your banking wrong, and you know today things actually plummet.
And we've seen that. In fact, I've been to your district, and we've
multiple times, which I appreciate.
And we have gone and had conversations with small community bankers and credit union folks, and they're like, "You guys are killing us." Yeah. It's like, well, let's define you guys. All right, it's really been the regulations from Dodd-Frank that have come in.
And in districts like ours, it's important to make sure we continue to have life in our small community banks and our credit unions that serve the smallest populations in our districts. But I used to do lumberjack competitions and exhibitions, hence the Plaidcast, and all my references to logging and lumberjacking. So right now we're going to move into the buzzsaw, Bill, the buzzsaw section of the Plaidcast, which is always very exciting.
It sounds gruesome.
If you can extrapolate what this is, rapid fire, to use another phrase. So, what is your favorite Disney princess? This is hard hitting stuff too, by the way. Favorite?
I think I got to tell you, probably Jasmine.
Why?
Oh, Aladdin, man. I mean, it was a great movie.
What's your favorite cheese?
Favorite cheese? Dutch Gouda.
Dutch Gouda? What is Dutch Gouda?
Well, Gouda is Dutch.
Okay, well,
so it's redundant.
Gouda
is Dutch.
Well, good. I don't eat Dutch
no,
Gouda.
you know what my favorite cheese is? The cheese you're going to buy me after we bet on the Lions-Packers game. I want Wisconsin cheese curds when the Lions win. That
was an easy bet before we had some injuries. Rogers out. You actually might win that one for the first time in a long while.
You may have noticed that the Lions aren't doing so well. And why are you running away from my throwdown?
I'll bet you $1. But to that point,
no, I want cheese curds.
All right, deal.
And Wisconsin beer, and I'll give you.
But I gotta take Gouda.
Vernors. No, just
you.
cheese curds. I want cheese curds.
I'll give you cheese curds, but I don't want your Gouda.
I'll give you Vernors and.
Do we make Gouda in my district? I hope maybe we do. So I'm getting swatted by someone.
I'll give you Vernors, and we'll get you some good blueberry and cherry products.
Deal. Right. But speaking of football, I like you. You're a very fashionable man. You have nice color combinations. So tell me this: color combinations. Do you like the blue and gold color combination or the green and white color combination? What's your favorite?
Where are you on that, Bill? Where Sean is trying to go is just trying to get me into trouble with all this. I grew up a Michigan football fan. I had a Michigan football player actually run against me in my primary, so it sort of somewhat dampened my enthusiasm for the maize and blue for a little while. But then Kirk Cousins came along. So Kirk went to who's quarterback for the Washington Redskins. Kirk went to my high school. He's become a friend, and he played for Michigan State. So half of my kids are Michigan fans, half of my kids are Michigan State fans.
But what's great is I didn't
and
ask
I'm a Grand Valley State University.
Yeah, that is the lamest answer. Come on, take a side.
I will typically root for Michigan.
He's throwing dart ice at me right now. Yes. So you're Michigan if you had to pick. Yep. Gun to your head.
Yep.
Lake Michigan or Lake Superior? What's your favorite lake?
Lake Michigan. You can actually swim in it.
Dude, come on, but ours is bigger and deeper.
And colder.
And it's colder, that's true.
And you don't get the sunsets like we do over.
And go back,
Michigan.
the Packers would beat the Lions by how much?
No, the Lions will beat the Packers, yes, by 2 field goals.
What should happen to Richard Cordray? He is, for those of you who don't know, he is the director of the CFPB, a unaccountable and challenging agency.
He should do the honorable thing and resign as head of the CFPB, and then he should run for governor and come in second.
What's your non-cheesy reason for being in Congress?
I think one of the things that has concerned me the most is our spending overall, and we have got to reform the entire entitlement programs and all the other things. And at the end of the day, I've got 5 kids. That's just a start on the Duffy family.
It really is. You're an underachiever.
Yeah, exactly. We're just, as we like to say, just passionate Protestants over here. But
you see the 2 of us walking together with our kids, and we're quite a sight to be seen. Actually,
yes, we
13 kids and 4 adults, and
it is fun. It's always fun being with the Duffys. But ultimately, really, look. I know you and your family, and I know my family as well. It's tough, when you're missing the soccer games and the band concerts and all that stuff. But we're up here doing important stuff, and we're doing it for them ultimately, and it's about as, I know it sounds cheesy, but I think that the vast majority of the folks that I have encountered up here are here for those same reasons, for the right reasons.
I would agree with you. And really good people fighting for the right reasons and taking time out and away from their family, sleeping on sofas like I think you and I do, whether it's a couch or a sofa in your office.
I graduated to an aero bed.
Oh, yes. You're a rock star. So we're going to end in a moment, but nope, I have one more. This is non-buzzsaw, but a quick answer. In Wisconsin, in our great lumberjack history, our larger-than-life character is Paul Bunyan.
Yes.
Larger than life. In the life of Bill Huizenga, who is larger than life for you and why?
2 people. My father, who was a disabled World War II veteran who survived a B-24 crash 2 days before Christmas in 1944, and he always said he was living on God's borrowed time. And I was his first child. He was 47 when I was born and 49 when my sister was born. So he had a little delay, and he's the one that got me involved in politics. The other one, larger in life, coming from West Michigan, Gerald Ford. He was a guy who did the right thing when it was very difficult to do the right thing. And there's the old saying of character is what you do when nobody's watching. And I agree with that, but I've also added sometimes character is doing the right thing when everybody is watching.
That's right.
And they're telling you not to do that. And he stepped out, and by most people's estimation, it cost him the election in 1976 against Jimmy Carter by him doing what he did.
I've been to Grand Rapids, and I was non-political and did a lot of different things, but I was like, oh my gosh, the Gerald Ford Library is here, and went and toured it. If anyone goes to Grand Rapids, it's a great library to go check out the legacy of Gerald Ford. So, Bill, quickly, where do people find the great Bill Huizenga on the campaign side? Twitter, Facebook, where are you?
Yeah, we are all over. If you go to huizengaforcongress.com.
Is that F-O-R or the number 4?
F-O-R, yes, not the number 4. So it's Huizenga. It's pronounced just like it's spelled.
Just
right?
Right.
Huizengaforcongress and .com, and we're on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Bill Huizenga. The official side is Rep Huizenga, but the personal campaign side is the Bill Huizenga with Twitter, and we're on Facebook. And love to have my friends in Wisconsin follow us as well.
And I want to thank you for joining me, Bill Huizenga, a great dad, chairs one of the most important subcommittees in the House that has an impact, as he mentioned today, has a huge impact on people's lives as we try to save and take care of ourselves in retirement, as opposed to relying on the government. And so, Bill, thank you for joining me today for another episode of Plaidcast. If people want to find me, I'm at Duffy for Wisconsin, and it's the number 4, Duffy for Wisconsin. Check me out as well. And
is that more efficient using the number?
Well, I think so. I don't know,
letters?
but it might be more efficient, but it's more confusing too. So people probably plug them both in. I go, I can't find them with an FOR. I got to put in the number 4.
But if for Northern Wisconsin, for those of you watching and anybody else, you've got one of the best members of Congress in Sean Duffy. He's a dear friend and somebody that I look up to and really have had a chance to learn from, and keep sending him back. He's a phenomenal guy.
What I appreciate is that you can't see the $20 that just slipped across the table for Bill to say that with a note that says, "Say how great I am, Bill."
No. I'm gonna be enjoying those cheese curds and Wisconsin beer when the Lions
good
win
luck
anyway,
good luck with that. Go Pack, go! Listen, everybody, thanks for joining us again for Plaidcast. Stay tuned for another episode next week. This week, though, Bill Huizenga, thanks for being on and tuning in. Bye bye.
Thanks, Duff.
This is paid for by Duffy for Wisconsin.